Hello and welcome to the Whiskey Closet. My name is Kevin and tonight let's taste some Blue Run. I have two Blue Runs here. The first is Blue Run Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. This one is called Reflection 1. It was a special release coming in at 95 proof. The second here is the Blue Run High Rye Bourbon Whiskey. This one is 111 proof, and it's sort of their like staple high rye bourbon. I am super excited about both of these. Let's give them a try. This Blue Run High Rye Bourbon comes with a very special thank you for my cousin, Kathy. Also, probably this channel's #1 fan. Thank you again very, very much, Kathy. This is an incredibly wonderful special bourbon that immediately got launched into my one of the favorites in the closet category. And we'll taste it now and talk more about why. But again, thank you so much. Let's taste them. All right, starting with the Reflection #1. Wow, I'm actually getting almost a peanut-y thing, which I've never picked up on a peanut note before when I've tasted this one in the past. A little hint of rye, a little kind of honey vibe. Maybe more of a butterscotch vibe actually than a honey. Really soft kind of butterscotch. Could be a hint of cherry in there too. The nose is so nice. It's very light. There's nothing like crazy that jumps out of it. It's just kind of soft, but it's not boring. You can tell that there's some complexity in it once you really start to pay some attention to it. Oh, very nice. The rye really jumps out right away, but it's not overpowering, and it's more in the sort of spicy rye territory as opposed to like an herbal rye territory, which of course I like. The finish is medium long, but it's really nice. It's got like a baking spice type of thing, maybe almost in like a nutmeg territory. And it's not at all overpowering. Everything about this glass is just kind of light and delicate, something that's worth kind of paying attention to because there is some interest in there, but nothing about it is like overpowering or jumping out at you or really demanding your attention. You have to give it your attention. Perhaps why they called it Reflection. A little bit about Blue Run. I think the thing that Blue Run is most well known for is their awesome bottle designs. First off, what a neat bottle shape. Very unique. Nothing really else like it. And they always have the fun little butterfly on the front there. They have their beautiful gold text, gorgeous fonts, crazy like modern and crisp and clean. I mean, their bottles are just outstanding. We're not paying for the bottle, we're paying for the whiskey, but the bottles sure are pretty too, aren't they? And actually, yes, we are paying for the bottle too. Blue Run is a relatively young distillery that only started in 2019. One of the things that they're the most famous for, though, is their distiller is Jim Rutledge, who was previously from Four Roses and is a super famous distiller. So that kind of makes a lot of people pay attention to Blue Run. They do a lot of really interesting sort of very small batch releases. So people are really excited to get their hands on it. There are actually small bottlings, so there's not a ton of Blue Run available on the market, which definitely makes it more sought after, but they're very expensive. All right, let's try the high rye bourbon. Oh, I mean, oh my God. Just the second I put my nose in it, it is exactly what I love. Everything about this nose is just right to my flavor preferences. Okay, so you can tell that there's some spice in there, maybe kind of in like a cinnamon spice sort of territory. You get a little bit of an herbal kind of character from the rye coming through on top of that spice. All of that is sort of riding on top of this gorgeous caramel sweetness. It feels like this really deep, rich kind of flavor. Smell. Oh, I just love the way that smells. All right, let's taste. Oh man. So much spice. Wow. The contrast between these is so ridiculous. Whereas Reflections 1 is light and dainty and gentle and soft. The high rye bourbon is not. It is spicy. It's a little bit aggressive without going over the top, but it is very sort of demanding of your attention. It's very bold, big flavors. It's amazing. So the spiciness is definitely the headline. The spice hits immediately the second it touches your tongue. It's that kind of perfect balance of, is that alcohol proofiness or is that kind of a rye spice? And those two meld together so well that they just present as this like one gorgeous experience. That spice rides all the way through. It rides all the way into the finish. It just keeps on going. It is delightful. Oh man. If it was just spice, it would be too much. But it's not just spice. It's also built on this really lovely caramel character. There's a lot of nice sweetness to it. I'm also getting a lot of rye kind of herbal impact. Maybe not herbal, but that kind of rye seed character. Not just spice, but built in that kind of herbal vibe. And the spice is so predominant on top of that note that I think the two pairing together is what's making it so appetizing through the whole palate. Super long finish. Again, that rye spice is really dominating through that whole finish. Some baking spice character, very mouth-watering, a little dry. There's a lot of oak in it, more oak than I would expect, on the finish at least. So the bottle doesn't have an age statement. This is the fall 2022 batch, by the way. The internet says that it's probably just over 4 years old, which kind of backs up one of the lessons that I keep learning the more bourbon that I taste, which is that as much as aged bourbons can be amazing, younger bourbons can be incredible too. Generally speaking, not, but occasionally just wow. I would never guess that this was just over 4 years. Although if you really search for it on the nose, thinking young, you can get a little bit of that young corn vibe, but there's so much around it, mostly from that rye, that it's just delightful. Wow, that's just great. I really, really love that bourbon. I'm going to dip back over to Reflection 1 just for the contrast. Wow. I mean, again, that nose is so soft by comparison, but some very similar notes. I still like Reflection 1, but for me, when you go from the high rye back to Reflection 1, it just can't hold up. Oddly, I would say I'm getting... So obviously a ton of rye spice in this one, but I'm getting more of like an herbal rye character from Reflection 1. And it's just, it's thinner. It's only 95 proof against the 111 here. It's good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it is really good. And what I have found, when I first opened this, I was actually disappointed. I opened it at a party where we were tasting through other bourbons. So again, there was sort of that heads up comparison problem. When I came back to it later, I was really surprised at how much I liked it. Again, it is soft and just kind of gentle, but not boring. There's so much to sit and sort of pay attention to and really enjoy about it. But put it next to the high rye bourbon, and I'm going for the high rye bourbon all day. I love all the characteristics of this. I love the spice. I love the little bit of oomph that it brings. I love the deep flavors that it has. It's just great. Yeah, and the nose is so nice. So again, both of these are quite expensive. The Reflection 1, I believe, is more expensive. The high rye bourbon is kind of like their staple, although they don't do enough production to really have something that I would call a staple. But you might have a better chance of finding the high rye bourbon. And if you did find the high rye bourbon, I would definitely recommend that. For the Reflection, given that the price is higher, maybe, I don't know, hard to say. If you're a big Blue Run fan, definitely go for it. If you have anyone to experience a taste this with, I think everyone would enjoy this. Again, it's so nice and light, but it's so interesting still at the same time. Really interesting bourbon. But man, this high rye bourbon is my jam. Thank you again, Kathy. This has been another episode of The Whiskey Closet, and I will see you again next time. Goodbye.